tonight, give me the chance to change Scotland for working people. The plea from the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer as he hit the road on day 2 of general election campaigning.
Houses, jobs, wages, those are the things that will begin to make a real difference and impact on people's lives.
But he refused to commit to scrapping the 2-child benefit cap or the bedroom tax. Also making the headlines, police arrest a man in connection with the death of former Aberfeldy estate worker Brian Lowe.
Tonight's sport comes from Hampden on the eve of the Scottish Cup final.
Just a tonic, supersonic, Scotland football team.
And could this rousing anthem be just a tonic for the Tartan Army in Germany? I'm Emma Cameron in Edinburgh.
And I'm John Mackay in Glasgow. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. Sir Keir Starmer says Scotland's voice is vital to Labour winning the election. Launching his party's Scottish campaign in Glasgow, he said he was asking voters humbly for the chance to change Scotland and Britain for working people.
But in an STV interview, the Labour leader refused to commit to scrapping the 2-child benefit cap or the bedroom tax. Well, our political editor Colin Mackay was at the launch. And Colin, what else did he have to say?
Well, Labour launched here at City Facilities in the Gorbals. It's the headquarters of a business owned by a Labour peer. And you know, it was probably the best, probably the most professional campaign launch I've seen from Labour in Scotland. It was all about change, as the banners suggest. You'll see a lot of that. And they're really ramming home the message that 14 years of Conservative governments at Westminster and 17 years of SNP governments in Scotland, what people need is change. But there's another element of it that Sir Keir Starmer talked about today, how Labour has changed. And just to ram that message home, Jeremy Corbyn, who led Labour into the last 2 general elections, has announced that he's standing as an independent against Labour today. This time, from his time, Labour's policies have also changed.
You say that Scotland's voice is vital. Will you listen to Scottish Labour when they say scrap the 2-child benefit cap?
Of course, and Anas and I discuss it because he and I are both committed.
Will you scrap it?
And we're both committed to eradicating child poverty. It was a big project.
The 2-child benefit cap.
Big project under the last Labour government. What I will do is only make promises I know we can afford. And at the moment, with the
will you scrap the 2-child benefit cap?
No, that isn't our policy. But it's not our policy. It's not our policy for a reason. Well, we're not going to be able to afford to scrap it because of the damage the Tories have done.
What about the bedroom tax?
It does not mean we won't have an anti-poverty strategy both for children and across Scotland. But look, to get that,
what about the bedroom tax? Would you scrap the bedroom tax?
That's about the cost of living. We will not, I'm not, however hard you push me, and I understand.
Well, the bedroom tax is already mitigated in Scotland. Scotland can effectively afford to scrap it. Can you afford to scrap it as a Westminster leader potentially?
What I'm not going to do, just a few weeks out from an election, is make promises which I don't think that we can deliver. Too many politicians...
So you can't promise to help the poor in the country who are suffering from the bedroom tax and the 2-child benefit cap. You can't make that promise to those poor people.
Yes, I can make the promise that we will deal with poverty. We'll have an anti-poverty strategy. I've talked about the New Deal for working people, making work pay. That's hugely important when it comes to poverty. We're going to build houses. We're going to make sure that through Great British Energy, more jobs come here to Scotland. Houses, jobs, wages, those are the things that will begin to make a real difference and impact on people's lives. What I'm not going to do, because I think too many politicians have done this, is when pushed by you, quite rightly on this, to make a promise which I don't think is deliverable because of the damage to the economy. Because I don't want to have an election and the other side of the election to say, I'm not now going to follow through. But will we have an anti-poverty strategy? It absolutely will.
Well, Colin, what about the other parties?
Well, contrast the slick launch that we saw here today with what else has been going on in the campaign trail. Rishi Sunak started with that soaking in Downing Street, or Drowning Street as it was branded afterwards. He's been flying around the UK. He was in Nig last night. He went to Belfast today, to the Titanic quarter, where he was asked by a journalist if he was going to be the captain of another sinking ship. John Swinney has had to deal with Michael Matheson's suspension, the SNP's finances case referred to the Crown Office, and today his flight to Shetland, where he was going to do a bit of campaign as well as government work, couldn't land because of fog. Here's what the other parties have been saying on the campaign trail today, though.
Look at where we're at over the last few weeks. We have one of the most popular leaders across the UK leading the party in John Swinney. We've seen his approval ratings continue to rise. The SNP is presenting a united front, and ultimately I think voters want to see a vision for hope and change.
Every political party has turned its back on the oil and gas sector. We know Keir Starmer and the Scottish Labour position on oil and gas is to turn off the taps as quickly as possible, but that's a very similar position to John Swinney and the SNP. It's only the Scottish Conservatives that are standing up for this industry.
We love elections. Lib Dems are so excited about this election in particular because we're taking a big leap forward. We overtook the Conservative Party in England at the local elections for the first time in a generation. That mirrors what happened in the Scottish local elections, where we outperformed every other opposition party.
People right around the country, of course, are going to be eager to see the back of a discredited and worn out Tory government. It can't come soon enough. But what replaces it is really critical, and we're not hearing the bold transformational ideas from Keir Starmer that the country clearly needs.
Now, we're only a couple of days into this election campaign, and everyone, even the politicians, hadn't really been expecting it until the back end of this year. So, to be honest, I think they're still coming to terms with it. But we've had Sunak in Scotland last night, Starmer in Scotland today, Swinney in Scotland pretty much every day. I bet you just can't wait to find out when Ed Davey's coming. Well, don't worry, he's coming to Scotland to launch the Lib Dem campaign on Monday. And I know it's a bank holiday, but I'll be there to keep you up to date with what he's had to say.
Thank you very much for that, Colin. Police have arrested a 75-year-old man in connection with the death of a dog walker on the outskirts of Aberfeldy. Brian Lowe's body was found in the Patilly area of Highland, Perthshire in February.
Police initially didn't realise he had been shot. Today, a man was placed in custody, facing questions from detectives. Well, Callum Clark is in Aberfeldy for us this evening. And Callum, a significant development.
That's right. It was nearly 14 weeks ago that Brian Lowe's body was found on the outskirts of Aberfeldy in a wooded area. And today, police have made an arrest in connection with this investigation. Now, there has been a significant police presence in the area today, which is centred on a property near Aberfeldy's Town Hall, where officers have been seen coming and going from the property, whilst a sniffer dog has been deployed as police continue their investigation. Brian Lowe was allegedly shot whilst walking his dog in the Patilly area of Highland, Perthshire. Police initially deemed the 65-year-old's death to be non-suspicious and medical related. 6 days later, a post-mortem revealed the retired former Edinburgh estate maintenance manager had been shot, his death certificate confirming he'd suffered a shotgun wound to the neck and chest. An investigation was launched by police, which saw them visit around 500 properties in the Aberfeldy area, review hours of CCTV footage and conduct interviews with more than 800 people. And 3 months into that investigation, today Police Scotland revealed a 75-year-old man was under arrest and in custody, facing questions from detectives. A significant police presence has been seen in the town today, centred on a property near the community's town hall. A sniffer dog has been deployed in the garden of the property as police continue their investigation. Whilst Police Scotland have confirmed tonight that a 75-year-old man remains in custody. His identity has not been revealed, but police are urging members of the public not to speculate online about this investigation. The announcement today, it is undoubtedly a significant development, but police say this investigation is very much still ongoing.
Callum in Aberfeldy, thank you. A Glasgow family are campaigning for women to have more regular smear tests after losing their 32-year-old wife and mother to cervical cancer. Vivian McLaughlin repeatedly attended the doctor concerned about her heavy period, but she was told it was of no concern and she would simply have to live with it. 6 months later, it was discovered she had terminal cancer and she died a few weeks later.
Adding to their grief, the insurance company then said they would be unable to pay the life insurance claim, leaving the family facing homelessness. Caitlin Hutchison has more.
A loving wife, a mum of two, a successful business owner and fundraising champion. But at just 32 years old, Vivian McLaughlin's life was cut tragically short by cervical cancer.
She was a character, she was always up for a laugh and things, she was a PT.
Welcome to the wee PT gym.
A big advocate for women's health.
My mission is to help women look and feel their best.
Do the school, run a business, she would be coming home, running a house and things like that. She was perfect.
Vivian first went to the GP complaining of heavy bleeding in January of last year, but she was repeatedly reassured there was no cause for alarm.
Vivian knew there was something wrong. The GP just kept going off saying, no, it's just a heavy period, it's nothing. She kept coming back, she's saying, I'm very fatigued. They kept fobbing her off all the time. One GP actually said that some things you can't get to the bottom of, you just need to live with it.
Vivian died 6 months later. At the end, she suffered multiple blood clots, mini strokes, and lost her sight and her speech.
It was traumatising, obviously for her and myself, the kids. Watching somebody go through that, it scars you.
Feeling utterly let down by the GP, Thomas and his children are still trying to grieve, and their situation got unimaginably worse when the life insurance claim was denied, meaning they have lost the family home.
When we took out the house, we needed to get life insurance, we went with Legal and General. We wrote everything in the application form saying that she went for this test, that test, she's got a heavy period, but that's all the doctors are telling us. It says, is there any other ongoing tests? At that time, there wasn't. There was no diagnosis and there was no illness when we took that application out. Scrimped and scraped for years and years to finally get a mortgage, first family home, and then basically just gets taken away from us.
It's left him facing the brutal reality of Scotland's housing emergency and the prospect of living apart from his children.
Temporary accommodation, they're saying because of the housing crisis, it could be put anywhere in Glasgow, and I'm saying, well, I need to keep my children round the schools, and they're saying because of that, you need to just take anything that they're sort of giving to you, so there's nothing really else I can do, it's just apart from make sure the kids have got a roof over their head, and I don't know what I'll do, I'll find something.
Legal and General told STV News they understand this is a difficult and upsetting time for Thomas and his family, and said they would carry out an urgent review. They have now decided to pay out in full. In the meantime, Thomas is determined to carry on Vivian's legacy by advocating for women's health. He wants yearly smear tests to become the standard and says everyone should feel they're being listened to.
Don't take no for an answer, keep pushing because ultimately you know your body better than anyone.
Caitlin Hutchison, STV News.
Other stories, and a law to quash the convictions of those caught up in the Horizon scandal in England, Wales and Northern Ireland has been passed at Westminster, one of the last bills to pass ahead of the general election. The Scottish Parliament will pass its own legislation to exonerate sub-postmasters here. A homeless shelter in Glasgow says it could close if it can't attract more volunteers to address the needs of those it helps. The Homeless Project Scotland shelter normally only runs over the winter, but bosses say as they move into summer they can't close due to the demand on the service, with up to 45 people staying there each night. This morning, Ollie Dickinson went to meet staff and those taking shelter.
It's 7 a.m. and David is starting his day at this homeless shelter in Glasgow. He says he took the wrong path as a teenager and ended up in and out of prison. He's now homeless, like the more than 40 others who spent last night here.
So the majority of my teens, I'm now 31, and out of prison majority of my life. Now I came here and it's the first step to the right path. It's a safe place for me. There's always somebody to speak to if I need to, you know what I mean? There's always someone that's a shoulder to cry on kind of thing. You don't know what's round the corner, but if you choose the steps that are put in front of you, then by all good, you will move forward in life.
To help him stay on track, David wants to start volunteering at the shelter. Sean is proof that can work. He's turned his life around since he started staying here.
I was in prison, and when I was released from prison, I came here, and it's actually saved my life, to be honest. I mean, I'm now volunteering with the guys in here, so the next step will be also getting proper employment.
The shelter has seen thousands of people since it opened. Colin and his team of unpaid volunteers run it. It's funded by donations. But the demand being placed on the service means they desperately need more help.
We're at capacity. We're seeing 35 to 40 people come through our doors every night, and we plan to run it for 3 months. Now obviously we're at a position that we just cannot close, because if we close then the people that use this service would otherwise have to sleep in the doorway. We have no paid staff. It's a fully volunteer-led shelter. So what we would basically reach out to people and say is that if you can volunteer and give your time to help save lives, then this is a place to come.
We don't judge, we're a safe space. We sit and talk to them, they can sit up all night if they really want to and talk to us. We don't judge, like everybody's got a story, everybody's got a past. We just try and point them in the right direction and hopefully try and get them the help they need.
For the people here, not having the shelter means there is only one option.
Where would you be if you didn't have a bed here? Would you be out on the street?
I would have been out on the street, you know. Yeah, definitely.
Does that scare you?
It scares me.
Oh, I'd be on the streets, I'd be sleeping rough, I wouldn't have any food in my belly, I'd be using drugs again. Basically, I wouldn't be around until I was 40. Simple as. I'd just assume there's a lot of people
on the streets, probably. I don't speak to my family, so I'd be on the streets, but if I didn't have this place, that's what you'd be.
Volunteers say they hope there will come a day when they won't be needed, or at least the need for this lifeline service begins to fall. But with the Scottish Government declaring a housing emergency, demand for suitable, permanent homes is soaring, and that could be some way off. Ollie Dickinson, STV News, Glasgow.
It's time for sport, and Rahman is at Hampden ahead of tomorrow's Scottish Cup final.
Thanks very much, John. A very good evening from Hampden on a very special weekend in the Scottish Cup. It will be Celtic against Rangers in the Scottish Cup final, and this is what they are competing for. Celtic captain Callum McGregor says they arrive here at Hampden full of confidence, while Rangers skipper James Tavernier says they are determined to end their season on a high. It's the oldest trophy in association football and a prize on offer in the latest clash between Celtic and Rangers. Tomorrow will be the first Old Firm Scottish Cup final in 22 years.
We go into the game at the weekend full of confidence. We understand the challenge. It'll be a massive game. Both teams, really good teams. So we understand where we are. We have to give everything to the game, and cup finals, you need a bit of luck. You need things to go your way. You got to play well on the day. So we've got a good chance. We turn up, we're full of confidence.
It's a trophy that we can obviously get our hands on. Last game of the season, so it's one last push, and yeah, it's obviously really important because you come to Rangers to win trophies, and this is obviously one that we put ourselves in the final, and we've got to obviously push it over the line and win the trophy.
This season, Celtic have won 3 of the league meetings against Rangers, while the other was a draw.
Obviously fell short a few times in games. I think we obviously need that extra 10-15% management during the games, and the key thing is taking our moments. I think that's the key lesson in these games, is when we do get the moments, is to take them.
We know what these derby games are like. If you don't turn up on the day, then you make yourself really difficult to get a result. So we understand what we have to give to the game. Obviously, we've played each other 4 times now, so both teams will know each other reasonably well. And it comes down to Saturday. What are the players prepared to give? Rangers enjoyed winning the first trophy of the season in December,
while last week Celtic claimed the main prize. One of these teams will celebrate a double at the National Stadium tomorrow.
Well, the Women's Scottish Cup final takes place here at Hampden on Sunday when Rangers face Hearts. The Ibrox side, who lifted the League Cup earlier in the season, have never won the Scottish Cup, while Hearts will be competing in their first final.
We want to keep, being the first to tick a lot of things off. We want to be the team to push it forward, and yeah, we want the Scottish Cup to have a new home come Sunday. So it's big motivation for us. I don't think the players need any more motivation than feeling what they felt last week and the potential of a cup double to come home this Sunday.
For us, just arrive the final is a massive objective, but when you are there, you want to win. Of course, we just don't want to play, and for us, one time we are here, we will do everything we can to win that game.
Now to the Premiership playoff final, and Raith Rovers manager Ian Murray says it would be a fairy tale if his team can overturn a 2-1 first leg defeat to Ross County. Rovers scored a late goal at Starks Park last night to claw their way back into the tie. Jamie Bothwick was there.
Yeah, you could argue that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd rather be in Ross County's position, certainly than our position, being at home and 2-1 up. But again, we've been in that position last week and it didn't work out the way we thought it would work out. We had to go to penalty kicks. We'd probably take penalty kicks again and go for a shootout to get to the Premier League.
Momentum. At 2-0, I felt the boys looked really comfortable and, like you say, we might have kicked on and got the third goal. But then in a blink of an eye you concede a goal and then that just gives the whole stadium a...
Things can happen, red cards, penalty kicks, decisions by referees or officials, but we're in the tie. As I say, we're taking 2,400 fans up there on Sunday. They'll be right behind us.
So all to play for in the second leg of the Premiership playoff final. That's on Sunday here at Hampden tomorrow. It's all about the Scottish Cup final between Celtic and Rangers, who will get their hands on this famous trophy.
Indeed. Many thanks for that, Raman. Well, how's the weather looking for the weekend? Here's Sean to tell us.
A spell of wows will gradually settle into a scattering of traditional tapas. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
A very good evening to you. I think we're finished with that rain now, aren't we? Well, at least we're getting a bit bored of it now. We've got the weather front right over the top of us, just sprinkling out the last of its rainfall. As I said yesterday, it's like a sponge. We're just progressively squeezing it over the top of us until there's nothing left in it. So we've still got some light drizzly showers out there just now, a lot of cloud around, and that continues to be the case overnight. Temperatures about 10 or 11 degrees Celsius, but a much better day to come tomorrow. If you've got plans for the holiday weekend, Saturday the best day. I don't think you're going to like Sunday. We'll get to that in a wee second. Now, there will still be some showers around tomorrow, more so before lunchtime. After lunchtime, it should be mostly dry with bright or sunny spells. Some good spells of sunshine developing in some spots. Let's have a look. We start off with a lot of cloud across the Hebrides tomorrow, but that cloud will break up after lunchtime. Expect the middle of the afternoon. We're looking at lovely blue skies, Col, Tiree, Mull, Jura, Isla, Gia, Colonsay, and also around Arran, Kintyre. Temperatures for us here, 14 to 16 degrees, not overly high, but it should feel nice in the sunshine with quite light winds. Further inland across the mainland, once those showers have cleared away, around Glasgow, Ayrshire, 18, 19 degrees, so it will feel nice when the sunshine does pop out of those clouds. So a much better day tomorrow. As said, you're not going to like Sunday though. We've got heavy rain moving its way northwards, heavy thundery showers in the afternoon. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And finally, we've had 500 miles, and yes, sir, I can boogie. And now a group of Scotland fans are hoping their song, Shot at Glory, can become the Tartan Army's new terrace tune this summer.
Yes, as Scotland prepare for the Euros in Germany, the trio, the Caledonian Dream, want the country to use their rousing rendition to get behind the boys in blue. Well, Vanessa Taft's been to meet them.
Just a tonic, supersonic, Scotland football team. Let's go Army, Tartan Army, off to Germany.
As Steve Clark's side get ready, this group have just the anthem to get the nation going.
and it's taking some inspiration from the songs of decades past.
My prototype for it was the 1974 World Cup song, Yabba Dabba Doo. Yabba Dabba Doo, we support the boys in blue, and it's easy, easy. But I wanted that with a dance, and then we were like scratching our chins and saying, there's something missing here, there's something missing. And it was Brucey Boy put the cherry on the cake with the pipes. Aye, so.
And you can't have a song about Scotland without the pipes.
You can't, it's mandatory.
I used to pipe at my pals' weddings, and then after kids were all born, I didn't actually play the pipes for about 15 years. When my dad hears that, he'll be livid that I picked him up for this. So we got together, came into the studio one night, and that was really the first time that I'd actually played the pipes, more or less, in 15 years.
As well as the pipes, this Tartan Army tune has a modern raving twist.
The rave hoover is the synth that I used to make most of the sounds in this song, and it's called a rave hoover because the sound that it makes has been compared with the sound of a hoover. And I have one of these synths, and yeah, used it extensively in this. It's definitely very sort of Scottish. It's bouncy, techno-ish, but it's kind of got a sort of light-hearted sort of bounce and feel to it.
The kind of thing you'd been in the Hangar all those years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely the kind of thing you would hear in Ayrshire in the 90s.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And their favourite line of the song?
Oh, it's got to be we invented tellies in football. It's the best. It's the truth.
Just the tonic, supersonic. It's very catchy. It's annoying the hell out of me just now, so I'm sure it's the nation might not thank me for this at the end of the tournament.
Well, here's hoping that's not the case and that fans will be belting it out as the build-up begins. Vanessa Taff, STV News.
I think that'll be the summer earworm, but I'm not sure if it's quite the lyrical class of Yabba Dabba Doo. What do you think?
Oh, how I've missed your wit, John. That's all from us tonight. Bye-bye.
Good night.